our first speaker this afternoon. Susan Gonzalez earned her nursing degree in New York in 1986, and she has been helping people get well ever since. No matter where her nursing career path led her, what she loved most was the opportunity to empower her patients with the knowledge they required on their own care path. Diagnosed with cancer herself in 2005, Susan had a unique perspective on this disease, being a nurse in a patient's role. She began writing a blog for those who wanted to make simple changes in their lives to live healthier. Her goal is to reach people with the message and making small lifestyle changes can lead to achieving optimum health and happiness. Now she's here today to share that very message with all of us. Please help me welcome Susan Gonzalez.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm very glad to see that we were using cell phones and that people were getting a little rowdy there for a little while, because coming up here and seeing all of you, there's something I really want to do. I'd like to share this energy. I don't think you realize, and maybe you do, I don't know if you realize the energy, the love, the support, the pride that I feel, that Flo and I felt when we were touring the center. I don't think you know the magnitude of that, having been to other centers. So I'd like to capture some of that with your help. And I'd like to also put that out to the world to show everyone what you have here, because I think it's very unique. So with your help and with my cell phone, so glad that we're using technology. What I'd like to do is just take a video. I'm just going to pan, and if you wouldn't mind just like hooting and hollering, put your hands up, and let's like make it like a viral video so that people will see. So we're at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Science Center. Tbaytel, being an upbeat person, and those who know me well know that I'm pretty upbeat. I even joke with my friends and my doctor that even my blood type is B positive. But even from that first day of diagnosis, I really tried to remain hopeful that it wasn't as bad as it could be. So when the doctor said to me, I have cancer, I said, well, surely the tumor is small. No, I'm sorry, your tumor is 7 centimeters. That's the size of my pinky finger. Surely there's no lymph node involvement. It's all contained. No, there are 5 positive lymph nodes. Well, maybe I'm not that far along in stage. No, it's stage 3, lobular breast cancer. Damn. Each time I was wrong, I could feel my hope getting smaller and smaller and darker and darker. And I remember my worst day. I was lying in bed after my double mastectomy. I'm sure some of you know what that's like, with the tubes and the wires and the stitches and everything. And I was feeling pretty down. I had just spoken to the doctor, and we discussed a course of treatment, chemotherapy, and eventually total hysterectomy. So my sister, I have 5 sisters. And as some of you know, with a large family, you're a little bit closer to one sibling than the other. So my sister called me. She's the one that I'm a little closer to. And I told her what the doctor had said, and we talked a little bit about it. And she said, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, what am I going to do about it? It's done. I have a piece of paper, my name on the top, diagnosis, stage 3, lobular breast cancer. It's done. What am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? She said, well, you could kick its ass. And I'm from New York, so that's the abbreviated version. And this thought never occurred to me. So I got up right there, and I started researching information. I started looking at different facets of life, and it brought me back to Nursing 101. One of the first couple of days of nursing, you learn about the human body. The human body is composed of 3 parts. There's physical, mental, and spiritual. And it's important for all 3 parts to be at their best in order for the whole body to be healthy at its optimal level and to resist disease. And like some of you, I'm sure, rather than letting the hair fall out, I chose to take it off or have it taken off by someone else. This was my way of taking control. In my efforts to embrace every moment, I decided to have some fun with this. So I remember the day vividly. My other sister was with me, and we walked into the cancer center. There's a room in the back where a hairdresser comes in and will do this for you. So he came in, and I could tell he was a little reserved. I know for some women this is very emotional, and I understand that. So I sat down, and he said, "So what are we going to do? Are we going to, cut it real short? Do you want to what do you want to do?" I said, "You know what? Give me that mohawk." And, he's like, "Oh, okay." So he started shaving and, putting gel in my hair, and the mood lightened, and we just had a great time. We just laughed and everything. And, I know some people don't get this. They say, "How can you do this? How can you make light of this?" We all have our boundaries. This, for me, was my way of taking this moment and flipping it over. Whatever you face, any situation, anything that life brings to you, that you don't get bogged down with situations. My hope for you is that you can find those people, those places, those connections that give you that sense of empowerment so that your hope can be unveiled and shine for everyone to see. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Florence Strang. Florence is a registered psychologist with more than 20 years of experience in the fields of education and psychology. Through her counseling practice, Florence has taught people the power of positive thinking. After being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, Florence began writing her blog. I have to say, I smile every time I see this title, "The Perks of Having Cancer," as a way to help her stay positive through difficult cancer treatments. Little did she know, when she began this blog, that she would be helping thousands of others to find hope and inspiration in their own healing and treatment. Florence's story of battling cancer with an unwavering faith and unbeatable positive attitude has been featured in Women's World magazine and Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Power of Positive. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Florence Strang.
It might seem a little strange for me to say that my journey began on that day, because I really didn't know on that day that I had cancer. But I'll always mark that day as the beginning. That evening, I was actually sitting in my living room with this group of friends, my BFFs, and we were celebrating my friend Sherry's 44th birthday, and I had also just recently turned 44. And eventually, the conversation there came around to an acquaintance of ours, a young teacher actually, who was dying from a very aggressive form of breast cancer. And I will never forget the words that I spoke to my friends that night. I said, "Look around you ladies. With the stats as they are now, there is a very good chance that one of us will get breast cancer." But now when I said that, I didn't mean me, right? Come on. I meant like Sherry or Jackie or Madonna or whatever. Not me. I mean, I was just 44 years old. I was young, healthy, fit, with no history of breast cancer. So I didn't think it could possibly happen to me. And that's why the very next morning, it came as such a shock when I was showering and I found a lump in my left breast. It almost felt like some creepy premonition was unfolding before my very eyes. Like by speaking those words the night before, I had somehow predicted my own doom. While life for me would never be the same after that. A couple of weeks later, I was given the official diagnosis, and Melissa used the word invasive ductal carcinoma. It's a mouthful, which, you know, at the beginning I didn't even know that kind of terminology. Stage 3, grade 3. And over the next year, my body was under assault from many difficult, painful, and uncomfortable procedures, tests, treatments. Not only was I undergoing a physical battle, there was also a battle happening up here. A lot of emotional turmoil. I felt anger at my own body for betraying me, first of all, and also like kind of angry at other people who were healthy. And why does this person, you know, get to live and I'm here working so hard, staying fit and healthy, and I get cancer? What's going on with that? What's up with that? So there was some anger, definitely depression, a lot of crying. And the bargaining, yeah, I can remember actually trying to bargain with God. I was trying to strike a deal. I said, dear God, just let me live long enough to have my children raised, or as we say in Newfoundland, to rear the youngsters. Let me live long enough to rear the youngsters, God. You know, I'll do anything. I mean, I will eat healthier. I will exercise more. I will even stop drinking wine. But God said to me, no, Flo, do not stop drinking wine. You will need that to be. And I listened to the man upstairs. And I could see my mother outside. She was in my greenhouse picking tomatoes. And I was feeling really angry and resentful and bitter. I was thinking, you know, that's not fair. I set those seeds, and I grew those plants, and I should be the one out there picking those tomatoes. Cancer sucks, and I was having a real pity party for myself. But suddenly a thought occurred to me. It was more like an epiphany, because this thought would change the direction of my life. And the thought was, you know what, Flo? You are not helping yourself to get better by wallowing in self-pity. Because as a psychologist, I am very much aware, as Susan talked about, the mind and body connection. And I knew that negative emotions like bitterness and anger, hatred, all of those feelings can actually suppress immune system functioning. It can weaken your immune system. But the more time you spend in positive emotions, joy, happiness, and love, studies have shown that it actually strengthens the immune system. And all of the newest studies about cancer have, you know, really show us that you need a strong, healthy immune system to recover from cancer. So I said, you know what, you're going to have to find something positive here, because you need that in order to survive. But how deep would I have to dig to find something positive in that whole experience? So I just lay there and I started thinking, you know, what? Is there anything positive that's happened to me in these 6 months? And then I thought, oh yeah, wait a second. You know what? Not once, and I mean not one time in that entire 6 months did I have to wash the dishes. I'm a single mom. Here are my kids. Caitlin was 16 at the time, Donovan was 14, and Ben was 6 years old. And I will admit to you that my immediate concern, my biggest concern, was not for my baby, Ben, but it was for my teenagers. I wasn't so much concerned with Ben because, well, Ben has pretty severe autism. And at 6 years old, Ben's verbal skills were really limited. He could speak a few words. He could make his basic wants and needs known. He could say yes or no, juice if he wanted something to drink, pee if he needed to go to the bathroom. So it was pretty limited. And his understanding of language was really weak. So I just reasoned that there is no way that Ben can ever understand the concept of cancer. And I didn't even think he could understand the concept of being sick. And I also thought, you know, even if he can understand it, being in a world of his own, which is what we say often about people with autism, Because Ben does look like he's in a world of his own. He's off doing his own thing. He doesn't need mom's attention, just as long as he's happy. So I figured, even if he does understand, he probably won't be too concerned or not upset the way that my teenage kids would. But guess what? I discovered that I could not have been more wrong about that kid. While I was going through these treatments for cancer, Ben started doing something that he had never done before. He would go to the computer and type up these messages and print them off and bring them to me. And these little notes had messages like, Mom is sick and Mom is hurt. I could not believe it. I just thought he wasn't capable of understanding. And I didn't tell him I was sick, but he knew. And he was bringing me these messages. And there were other times he would bring me messages, little notes that he had written up with messages like, Dear Mom, I love you. And my very favorite one, Dear Mom, you are nice. So I thought, not only does he understand, he cares. And he cared enough to try to cheer me up in his own little way. Ben did not bring notes like that to me before I was diagnosed. And I have not gotten one single love letter from him since I've recovered. It was just while I was going through these treatments. And so for me, seeing this side of my little boy, a side that I did not know existed, was another of the perks of having cancer. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a lot of stories from me today, and you've heard stories about my son and my family and my life. And you may forget these stories, but I just hope that you don't forget my message. And the message is the same message that Susan gave. It's the message of hope. And no matter how seemingly insurmountable the challenges may be, and it doesn't have to be cancer, it can be anything, any challenge that you're facing in your life, don't ever let go of hope, because hope really does have the power to heal. Thank you.